Wissen Sie, wie viel Stück edler Hölzer es gibt?
Do you know how much fine wood there is that you could use to make a violin? But there was only one person who could make a Stradivarius, and that was Stradivarius himself. And that's why I think that only Johann Grander can make water be what it is.
Grander's water revitalization has become known primarily by word of mouth. Now more and more swimming pools in Germany, Austria and Switzerland are equipping their pools with Grander technology. They have all had the same experience. They use less chlorine, have better water quality and fewer skin problems.
Before, we really had a problem with algae on the edge of the pool and in the pool itself. And we also had a heavy buildup of calcium deposits on our glass measuring equipment, but that's no longer the case. The pool more or less cleans itself. We have to do a lot less work to clean it, and we also use a lot less chlorine. We use about half as much chlorine as before. And the measuring glasses too. They don't get nearly as dirty or as calcified as before. We have a much higher water quality today, and we get very positive comments from the swimmers. The water is much more pleasant, and the people no longer get skin rashes, no itching. Our experience so far has only been positive.
Nature itself is full of mysteries.
It's the same with the birds. I noticed it a long time ago. Look, the swallows all fly away on the same day, and they fly far away, and yet they always come back to their nest. They don't have a map, a compass, or a travel agent, nothing, and yet they always come back.
If it's good for people, it should be good for animals too. But what about the placebo argument? It shouldn't apply here, should it?
My oldest mare, who is now 24 years old, had always had circulatory problems in the summer when the temperature climbed. I mean, her hind legs would always become swollen. She suffered from edema, and it seemed to get worse and worse until her legs got really thick. But now that I've had Grander water for about 3 months, the problem has completely disappeared. Her legs are like those of a 3-year-old. She no longer has circulatory problems and no longer retains fluid. Somehow, if someone had told me this would happen, I wouldn't have believed it. But a horse can't fool itself into thinking it works or into thinking it's doing better. Every day when I stop by the stable, I can't believe that she's doing so well.
It took Grander many years of experimentation, and even his wife was never completely sure whether the sacrifices they made would turn out one day to have been worthwhile.
Angefangen zu bauen und das, ja, eins nach dem anderen.
Later he started building engines, one after the other. At first we didn't believe that anything would come of it and that we could make money with it. But as it turned out, it was all worthwhile.
Und ja, wie es halt so ist, nicht? Es hat sich doch gelohnt.
I remember that my mother worked as a waitress at the Waterwizard Inn so that we could make it financially. Inge and Hani worked at the hospital and provided us with money to do the shopping. There were times when I realized that we really didn't have much money. When I was attending tourism school, for example, I couldn't afford to go on the excursion to Vienna or on the ski week. But I would have been ashamed to admit that we didn't have the money. I always just said that I didn't want to make the trip. You know, when we had afternoon classes at school, we always took a sandwich from home. We didn't have the money to buy one in a shop. We always took our own. Usually they were jam sandwiches, and I didn't like them at all. I did, I liked them, so it didn't bother me a bit.
It
was a nice quiet time because nobody else was there. I spent a lot of time by myself. A couple of times the bill collector came, but it wasn't all that bad. It was a good time.
Today, the hut where Grander used to experiment is a kind of private museum. There he enjoys meeting his old friend and advocate Franz Haselsteiner, who was the first person outside the family to have faith in Grander's inventive powers. Grander collects water from around the world. Here you can find water from the Ganges River or from the Rhine. Today, the two men enjoy talking about the good old days.
This is up for the Adria. 87 gewassen.
Ja.
Ich hab da gefragt, dass da ein Mann ist in Jochberg und was...
I heard that there was a man in Jochberg who was working on things that at first seemed unexplainable to me. So one day I went to see him and asked whether we could get together for a chat. Later we performed our first experiments with a catalytic converter, water revitalization. We were both full of ideas and one of us would always know something the other didn't and tell him about it.
Was der eine gewusst hat, hat der andere gesagt. Regelmäßig alle 14 Tage.
We'd meet every 2 weeks, drink a beer and pick up where we had left off. And when one of us had a new idea to try out, we would set out to do it.